Hey, what is going on? Happy Saturday. How you all doing? How's it going? See here, man, you guys are in here early, extra chatty. Nice. Give me 1 second. I've been playing with volumes and I noticed that this is not right in my headphones. So how's everybody doing? Man, what are you guys working on? Happy Saturday. Hopefully the weather's nice for you. It's super nice here for being October. But yeah, let me close that, turn this down a little bit. So, hey, what's going on? Let's go back to the top. Techno, it's dark. Yeah, it was a little dark in here when I started. I realized that my toggle for my camera was off, but it worked out pretty well because I had to do a couple things. Anyways, but yeah, I have a toggle because during the day it's toggled to my Mac because I work all day, my normal job, and I have Zoom calls and I use the same exact setup except for different lights and a different system. So I have this HDMI toggle. I forgot to toggle it. And that happens every Monday morning in my first Zoom call too, for work. They're like, "Oh, it's Tim's black screen again." And I was like, "Oh yeah, hold on, let me hit the button." So both ends get a black screen at the beginning of the stream, either Zoom or Twitch. How's it going, Ilud? And full of terrors, yeah. Yeah, that worked out pretty good on my notification, just the black screen. It's like, oh man, I better check out, see if everything's okay. Software at first. Actually, you weren't first. According to my log, Takana was first. So yeah. Man, what are you guys working on today? That's what I want to know. Takano thought it was going to be a spooky stream today. Yeah, I should. Maybe, man, when is Halloween? I should know my dates. I still got, actually, Halloween is 2 weeks from today. So yeah, could actually have a Halloween themed stream on that Saturday. Huh, interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. Chicano, it's just Techno Tim talking to us with only a flashlight for lighting. Yeah, you're giving me some ideas. For Halloween. So that's 2 weeks from today. Man, it seems like it should be closer than that, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Saturdays in October. That's why it seems so far away. Software at the probably a correction. Ilude. That should definitely be a lighting option. Yeah, candlelight. Maybe I can make these flicker light candles. That would actually be kind of cool. Maybe distracting, but I think it would be cool. Yeah, I like it. Maybe I'll add a Halloween theme one. I need to add you guys. You guys need to give me this feedback earlier. I can do it. It wouldn't take long to create a theme, so maybe we will. I like that. I'll definitely keep it in mind. If it have to be, what would it have to be? It would have to be like I don't know, yellow, orange. It's funny because I see a lot of people now putting up like Halloween lights in their trees or their porches or whatever. And like orange and purple seems to be the Halloween theme. I don't know how it's purple, but that's what I see a lot on people's porches, in their trees and stuff. They're like, oh, orange and purple, that means Halloween. So yeah, I'll figure something out. But yeah, good idea. Takano, for sure, the stream closest to Halloween should be like that. Well, there's actually one on Halloween. We just found out, which is pretty awesome. So that's 2 weeks from today. I like it. Maybe we'll do a little theme. We'll see. Self-hosted pro. Yeah. I'm curious too about Takano's husky. How's the puppy doing? Takano, Techno Tim has a power outage where he lives. Stream will only be candlelit. Yeah. Wouldn't that be, that would be crazy. Well, I'd have to figure out, well, this stuff isn't on battery backup. The rest of my stuff is, but it would not be a long stream at all because I have a couple UPSs. Actually, this is on battery backup. My PC and one of my monitors is on battery backup. So I'd be able to stream for about 2 minutes. It'd be a really short one, shorter than some of my other ones. Shorter than one than today, for sure. I got to cut it a little bit short today, but that's out there. Takano, super well, actually. He's back in his old self mostly, has been running around, eating and drinking, already up to mischief as well. That's good, because dogs are getting better when they're kind of back to their old self. Yeah, and I've said this a few times, like we have dogs, and when they're sick, there's nothing you can do to understand what they're going through, and it's so tough. I mean, at least with humans, you can be like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, depending on their age, you can be like, hey, my head hurts, my stomach hurts. I think it was something I ate, or whatever. I got bit, something stung me. Where dogs are just like, they just look at you and do nothing and won't eat, won't drink. So that's tough. So I'm glad to hear he's doing better for sure. Dr. Bell, Tim, I'm using dbeaver as my database client, but I'm having issues connecting to the database. Will you do a quick walkthrough with Heidi or dbeaver if you have it installed, please? Yeah, I mean, can I talk through it? Because it's pretty simple. So I've used both Heidi SQL. I've used lots of SQL clients. So I use Heidi SQL mostly on Windows because I've just used it forever. And now they have a dark theme, so I like it even more. But it should be as easy as creating a new connection, pointing it to your IP for that database, and then connecting to setting the port, setting your username and password, and then connecting. And that's if you're doing host port. If you're doing it the Kubernetes way with service discovery, you'll have to figure out your DNS name, or you have to create one that's published externally for your cluster. It's kind of confusing, but I have some stuff coming on it soon. But in my guide, we just did it real quick and dirty, host port. So that means, okay, the IP is going to be the IP of your cluster, which is a single node. Port's going to be whatever you set it to, and then username and password. Hopefully that helps. I haven't used dbeaver. I use it on Mac sometimes, but like all the other stuff I do is Postgres, and so I just end up using the Postgres client. But yeah, let me know, Dr. Bell. Hopefully that helps. And I mean, if it seems like you're having a problem with both, so it might be a configuration issue. But if it is a problem with one of the clients, yeah, let me know. Not a Heidi SQL expert, not even a SQL expert in general. I have services that need to write to my database. And to be honest, I only have a couple services that need to actually write to MySQL. And it's WordPress is a big one that a lot of people use. The old rancher I used to use used MySQL. And then this other game client I used to use, game server I used to use, also use MySQL. Most of the stuff I do now is either Mongo or Postgres for sure. But yeah, let me know, Dr. Bell. How's it going? How you been? Yeah, again, what are you guys working on this weekend? Yeah, I'm curious to know. I've seen hints of it in Discord, but I'm always interested to talk about it too, because I love hearing what you guys are working on. Not only for you guys to be able to share it, but at the same time, gives me lots of ideas and inspiration too. I mean, it's the same reason why we look at stuff on Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, social media. I don't know. I get super inspired by what people are doing. So when you guys talk about it, yeah, I get super inspired and I get new ideas. Hopefully you get the same from me. Jury's still out on that one. Self-hosted pro, glad to hear it. Great news. I totally agree. Poor puppy. Creepinson, hello. How's it going, Creepinson? Haven't seen your name in a while. How you doing? Hopefully well. Saw you post in Discord earlier. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Takano, getting the 2 4 terabyte drives in later today. Nice, dude. It's some FreeNAS. Sounds like a FreeNAS weekend then. Sounds like a TrueNAS weekend. I should call it by TrueNAS. So, and then question, are you going to install FreeNAS, the current, released one, or, TrueNAS, the beta one, and just keep rolling upgrades? Yeah, let me know. Self-hosted pro, what issues are you having connecting? What's your setup like? Yeah, thank you, Self-hosted pro, for helping out. Software on my own website. All right, I gotta roll back on this one. On my own website. All right, I get software. Help me out. I didn't catch the beginning of that comment, so let me know. iLude, Gogs and Drone. Okay, I'm getting confused now. That should be definitely a Gogs and Drone. All right, help me out, iLude. I think you mean maybe with the lighting. Herbals. I'm gonna say herbal. Oh man, I'm gonna say herbals. Hi Techno Tim. Herbals, how you doing? Silent Tech. Redoing my entire cluster after a failed server. Hey, been there. Been there. I've been there with a lot of things, especially new things, and that's why I try to do snapshots. It's not always, sometimes I get ahead of myself. I'm like, yeah, this will totally work. And it doesn't work out well. And it's kind of hard to recover from some of those stuff, some of those things sometime. Actually, and I didn't open my utility to let me know, but it looks like, well, first of all, I had to follow earlier, fib, FB, if I Doyle 1. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. IROC driver. Hey, IROC driver, another car liker, lover. IROC is Camaro, I think. I'm not a huge car person, but I think maybe not. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Scuba Pug. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. But Silent Tech, yeah, redoing a failed cluster. That sounds pretty fun, as long as there aren't critical things on there. If you can do it at your own pace, it's super fun. If you have to do stuff under pressure, that's when things get tough, because you're just like, please work. Hopefully it goes well. My weekend is quite fun. Yeah, that I don't know if that's sarcastic fun. Sounds fun to me, but like I said, if it's if you're redoing services that haven't or that are up and running and providing services to people, that's when it's not fun. That's when you're under pressure. But hope it goes well. Let me know, like what, I assume you mean a Kubernetes cluster, maybe Rancher, maybe something else. Let me know, Silent Tech. Self-hosted Pro. I recently redid my home lab as well. Changed everything over to Docker, and it was fully set up in an hour, which was a nice experience. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that's a great success story right there. I think so too. And you probably freed up a lot of resources from that were taking up space from virtual machines. That's awesome. Yeah, and as I talked a little bit this morning, the thing I was holding off forever on was obviously one of my old MySQL databases, and it wasn't because it was hard, and it wasn't because like I wasn't already containerizing some of my databases, which I am, but they were all new databases, brand new services, super easy. Get the latest and greatest MySQL or MariaDB or Mongo. Those are the ones I have running. Spin up new services, fantastic. Well, this one was just kind of a pain just because I had 8 databases on it. I had to figure out, okay, am I going to migrate it? Am I not? Am I going to migrate this data? What do I do with it? Am I going to pin it to a specific version? I got to do, change names in DNS to where they're pointing, all my services. Actually, I wasn't even using DNS. I was using IP, but more to come on that. So anyways, it's kind of a pain for me, and so I knew that this day was coming. Anyways, it's up and going, like zero problems whatsoever. Should have done it sooner, but hey, I'm kind of glad I drug my feet on it because it gave me something to kind of think about and do this week. Dr. Bell, it gives me a connection error, unable to load authentication plugin, cache SHA password. Oh, so, that's interesting. So yeah, either you're missing that plugin, you might have to pull it down, you might have to Google and find that password. I've never run into that, but I don't know what your auth is like on those databases. If it is anything outside of just the normal, SQL connection, you might have to download that plugin. Do you have something turned on your database that's providing a different type of auth? That could be it too. But it looks like you just need a plugin for auth. I could be wrong. Self-hosted Pro. I'm working on building a website where people can build Yacht, Portainer, Docker Compose, and Array templates in nice GUI. Yeah. Exports a zip with all formats. Yeah, sounds awesome. Logic. I agree. Sounds cool. Sounds right up my alley. No route. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Good to see you. Home Lab New. Hey, Tim. Hey, how's it going? Just been working on my desktop, put Proxmox on it, and working on a Windows gaming VM. That's awesome. So I let me make sure I understand what you're talking about. So you're actually building like a Proxmox workstation where one of the VMs is a Windows guest VM. It's kind of redundant, but it's a Windows guest. And then from there, you're passing through stuff to it, hardware, whatever, USB. And then you're using that as your desktop to actually use as your daily workstation. Meanwhile, it's running Proxmox, and that's all virtualized. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I wanted to try that at some point. So I'm glad to know that you got it going and it's working. Yeah, let me know. Performance, like how is it using, I guess a virtual machine as your daily driver that's virtualized inside of Proxmox, and all the hardware is passed through. I mean, it should totally work fine, but I'm curious. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Wish I had the hardware to test that out sometime, because it sounds fun. HomeLab new, currently trying to pass through my audio interface to the VM. Awesome. I think someone was talking about this in Discord before, and I think what they ended up saying, well, this might have been in the virtual machine. Yeah, and yeah. So now I'm starting to remember. They were using the HDMI audio from their video card, and that just ended up working. The audio, the onboard audio from your motherboard, that might be a challenge. Maybe not, because the chipset or however it's, I don't know. You might have problems with it. I've never tried it, but these are interesting things to think about. If you get it working, yeah, let me know for sure. Self-Hosted Pro, found a link that described your issue. PM you, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Self-Hosted Pro. Software Rat, do you know the Scalable bot? I don't know the Scalable bot. Tell me more, Software Rat. What is it? Viable clan member today. Interesting. So you're using a today command. Viable clan member. What would you expect exclamation point today to do? Is that like an uptime? I'm just curious. And I'm asking with I already said what I thought it might do. I shouldn't do that. Make no assumptions. What would you expect the exclamation point today command to do? Because I'm curious. I would love to pick your brain on that one. I always like to get feedback from people when they try stuff, especially software. Because it's as a human, you want to try and do things, and software doesn't always do what you want it to do. And so I want to pick your brain a little bit. This is like user testing live. I like it. Let's see here, Software Rat. What's on today's stream topic? Today, open forum. Today is kind of open forum. Last stream, so Thursday, everyone that was in the stream helped me kind of think through and design and kind of plan my next servers. And so I talked about this. I've been talking about this on stream and kind of in social media and in Discord too. Is I kind of have an idea of kind of, I guess, my V2. It's really like V200 because I've been doing this for a long time. But it's my V2 and my rack. I guess I can say that. My compute for my rack. V2 compute. I don't know. I'm still figuring this all out. How I brand it or market it. Or how I explain it to people without sounding like, I don't know, either a total noob or I don't know what I'm talking about. Half the time I don't. So I guess that'd be okay. So anyways, I'm trying to figure out like a V2 of my compute for my rack. I think that's a good way to put it because I didn't have a rack over a year ago. But I've been doing self-hosting and home lab stuff for many years, many moons. So last time we kind of talked about that. That was super interesting. I got tons of feedback. I got good. For me, all feedback is good. Feedback is a gift, and that feedback could be positive or negative. So I lump that all into one as a positive for me because it helps me keep me in check and keeps me, I guess aware if I'm making solid decisions or making bad assumptions. So, anyways, we walked through that. We drew and designed a couple of things. I think I had the diagram on Twitter. Looks kind of scary because I'm drawing it and it's a lot of chicken scratch. But we have a diagram there. It's on Twitter. And so I've been kind of mulling over all the feedback I got, and pretty soon I might be able to share my next revision of what I think. So today I'm just kind of keeping it open. Yeah, spend those points. Going green. I knew it. It's always well, I always start out with Tokyo Lights because I like it. And I think I don't know, it's just a good contrast. But I always know when those lights go dim, we're heading over to the Northern Lights. I did adjust the Hawaiian sunset one. I don't know if it's great, but I think it's a little bit better. I think Penguin Airlines, he was liking the color, but I think I tweaked it a little bit more. Maybe he'll like it more. I don't know. That one's not so popular, but I'll fix it to where maybe it'll be a contender with Northern Lights and Tokyo. Northern Lights and Tokyo Nights. I keep wanting to say Tokyo Lights. Anyways, that's a very long, oh man, yes. Oh, and we went Hawaiian sunset. Yeah, see, I changed, I tweaked it just a little. Last time it was a lot of orange and fuzziness. Now it's kind of like, you know, hey, like the sun's going down in Hawaii. That's how I imagine it to be. Actually, I've been there twice. Yeah, absolutely, it looks like this, I guess. This is my best attempt at it. Yeah, but I tweaked it. So maybe this will be a contender with the other three. We'll see. I want to add more, but Twitch, I think they have a limit on how many rewards. So these are rewards you can redeem for points. Those points cost nothing. You earn them from watching the stream. But anyways, I think that Twitch has a limit on how many I can offer to people. And so, yeah, well, hey, I think this looks a little bit better. I spent 15, 20 minutes tweaking it. And I even turned on my camera and OBS because I have, you know, different filters. And I was just like looking at it, changing it, changing it, getting it just right and trying not to get the banding. You kind of see over here. This is the whole flickering issue that you get that, at least with my camera, I can't f-stop out of. And so you get this weird banding you see sometimes. So minimal banding, decent color, not over the top, I think. Anyways, thanks for trying it out. Appreciate it. I think that was Takano, but yeah. So yeah, again, just like everything I've been saying, today's topic, totally open. Whatever you guys want to talk about, throw it out there, and we'll talk about it. Usually it tends to be what people are working on for the weekend. I know that most people work throughout the week, and so they save a lot of their tech projects for the weekend. And so I want to celebrate that and talk about that. And maybe you're working on it now while you listen, or maybe you're not here because you're listening or you're working on it. So all acceptable answers. Ilud, I had a power outage 2 years ago. Ice storm out for a week. Oh my gosh. Then unreliable months after. Installed a whole house generator. Of course, the power has not gone out since. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I bet that was expensive. Oh, one, that sucks that your power totally went out, especially for a week. If my power was out for a week in the wintertime, I'd be dead. Things would be frozen because it's cold up here. So that stinks. Two, I bet that was pretty expensive doing that. Installing a whole home generator. It sounds expensive to me. And three, man, I hope Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX or just Elon Musk in general can give us some whole home battery stuff. Well, I knew it already exists, but I hope that becomes a little more affordable because man, that for me sounds pretty awesome. Anyways, I can relate too on the power not going out. After you install some redundancy, I had the same thing. I had power go out in my garage. Couldn't open the garage door easily. Thing weighed like 400 pounds. It's solid wood. And so I put in a UPS that can barely get it up. And it hasn't gone out since. But I could lift it, but I mean, this thing was like no joke. Like anyone else, any younger or smaller person, it would have been tough because this garage door I have is old and it's solid wood and it's like, it's old. Not aluminum like most people have. I don't know, this thing's gotta be 30 years old. Anyways, but I know how that goes. But I will say, when I was recording a video once and talking about like why I have my little Pi Zero to turn my servers back on and why I have my UPS in place. It didn't go out that day, but then the day I was editing it, it went out. And I was like, this is too serendipitous. But anyways, yeah, man. Hey, it's just like insurance, right? You don't wanna have to use it, but it's there if you need it. So hopefully the battery survives until you do need it. Well, it's a generator, so I assume it runs on some kind of gas or something, kerosene. I'm not sure what they run on. I assume gas. I don't know. But yeah, that's awesome, Ilud. First of all, Woos. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see here. By Caddy71. Hello, good streams. Well, hello. How's it going? My secure gift. What I miss? Yeah, just people just chatting it up, man. Or a person. Let me know what you would like to hear about or what you're working on. Let me know. Uptime. Yeah, I need to get my uptime in there for sure. Uptime. Yeah, I can tell you. Techno Tim has been live for 35 minutes. I'll say 35. I'll shave off a couple of minutes. I know I was about 5 minutes late, but yeah. Yoda Droid, how's it going? That looks like a newer name. I don't think I recognize that, but that's awesome. Logic, already #1 in science and tech. Hey, that's awesome. Wow. Hi, science and tech people. If you're tuning in, and if you're new, hey, how's it going? Yeah, that's awesome. I do wonder though if it's a true #1 or if their algorithm is sprinkles in recommendations based on what you like. I don't know how advanced their algorithm is. If that's like if they rate those channels in there according to views or according to your own preference, or yeah, but yeah, I should look sometime, because sometimes when I go in channels, you know, it's like recommended for you. But yeah, that's, hey, I'm just glad to be on the board. I'll take anywhere on the board, because sometimes that board is really long and people have to scroll really far down to get there. Awesome, Logic. Thanks for letting me know. Senpai Carter. Oh, let's hear. Currently this weekend, I'm taking a mental health break for studying for Network Plus. Yes. Hey, that sounds awesome. Yeah. So one, that sounds awesome. Two, well, one, it sounds awesome you're studying for Network Plus. Two, that's awesome that you're taking a break from it for your mental health. I totally agree that sometimes it's great to unplug and not think about what you've been thinking about all week. And it's a good reminder, I think, to all of us to unplug our brains from what we're normally tapped into. I need to take that advice myself. But yeah, I really hope you get to, totally take well, you're not taking a break from tech now, but you are taking a break from Network Plus. I hope that goes well. I hope your test goes well. But most importantly, I hope you get to totally unplug and clear your head, because that's always good. I recommend walks too. Those help me. Actually, I think a lot on walks in general. I usually don't say much. And that's where I think and figure out a ton of stuff. I think just time away sometimes helps you think about, and dig into some of the problems or challenges you're facing, and kind of rethink them. Sometimes it's hard to see, things in your way or road bumps or roadblocks when you're in it. So anyways, hope you get to unplug and take a quick break. Logic, at least in recommended for me. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I haven't, this is probably a good thing. Twitch, when I go to Twitch, I'm usually, it recommends channels to me, and I usually hop in some of the channels it recommends, because they're interesting, I think. Whereas before, old Twitch, you basically had to find the topic first, and then browse through there, and then you were like looking for the first 2 rows of people, which were usually people who had the most views. So this is good news. This means Twitch is focusing on discovery. So, and I know they are, and I think this is fantastic. Takano, Shabrich. Oh, this looks like a new name. Shabrich. Shabrich. I'm going to say that. Hey all, how's it going? Takano, probably TrueNAS, and just keep updating it. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Going to pass the drives through directly to the VM. A VM, yeah. Usually don't see that acronym anywhere except for one thing. But yeah, I totally agree. I've done that. I've done that for some things, and then I pass controllers through for the other. But yeah, works fantastic. You'll have to let me know. I have a virtual machine that's TrueNAS just there, so I can play with it and see the progress I'm making. But not my daily driver yet. I think it's coming. It's coming soon. By Caddy, I like watching your videos. I'm watching your videos. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy them. Hopefully you find something interesting or helpful. My secure gift, I'm working on a new website app for my church. Hey, that sounds awesome. So a combination. So curious, like when you say new website / app, I'm curious, are you building an actual website and then a native app, or are you going to build a web app, which is a website that's responsive and adaptive, that adapts to a mobile site? But that sounds super interesting. curious what the requirements are, because you can go anywhere with that stuff, especially if it's for an organization like a church. Is it scheduling? Is it contact me? Is it a landing page? Is it a church directory with photos? Like, you can go so many ways with that. So I'm curious what they what requirements you were given, and what you're going to end up building. And also, I'm curious on what the stack is you're going to use. Are you going to go with a CMS that's out there, like a WordPress or a Ghost or Drupal or anything like that? Because those are super good for those types of content. Or is it all custom built? And just going Vue, React, and building your own website? Curious to know. iLoot, Gogs, Git server, and Drone CI. Okay, so I'm not familiar with Gogs. I should know this. Gogs. Is this, wait, are we talking about Gogs Git server? I don't know this. I do know GOG Galaxy. Good Old Games. I know GOG as in Good Old Games or Good Old Game Galaxy, their client, which is super awesome, by the way. But I don't know GOG's Git server. I've heard of Git, obviously GitLab, all those, all the super popular ones, but this sounds like something I might want to check out. Drone CI, I know that. Love Drone CI for sure. Yeah, so how's that going, man? I saw you were talking about Discord about setting it up. Yeah, I'm totally interested in how this is going for you. I've always been, I don't want to say scared, just a little hesitant to self-host my own source code repository. Not that I don't back my stuff up, and not that, I don't take the necessary precautions. That was the one where I was just like, okay, I'm gonna let GitLab do that, for my private or private stuff and some public stuff. And I'm gonna let GitHub do that for my public stuff. So I'm super interested in how that's going for you. Dizzle, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. Yoda Droid, good to see you on another stream, Tim. Hey, Yoda Droid, yeah. On another, as in like you've been here before and you're back. Hey, well, thanks for coming back. I thought you meant on someone else's channel. I was like, hey, let me know. I haven't been invited to anyone's channel yet. I'd love to. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're back. So then that also, I think, if I'm making a correct assumption on what you're stating, is that this isn't your first stream. And I said, hey, that looks like a newer name. So that might be 2 in 1. So hey, welcome back. Sorry if I didn't recognize the name. I will now, Yoda Droid. But yeah, glad you're here. Chicano. Also need to change the rest of my passwords this weekend. Yeah. Yesterday I got a stock account registered under my email, which then they tied to purchase $4,000 worth of stocks. Whoa, that's not good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds like one, that sucks it happened. It's scary that happened. I mean, I've had fraud stuff happen before with, I won't even mention companies. And then I won't even mention email companies that were just like clueless when it came to what happened. Had similar stuff like that happen before. Super scary, and it sucks. Like when people do that, it's so bad. And yeah, that stinks. But yeah, absolutely. Change your password, 2-factor auth, secure, I'm sometimes even hesitant to use OAuth sometimes, because I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure it's totally fine, but sometimes I'm just like, register your email, unique long password, give me 2-factor auth. That's kind of the best that some sites offer, unfortunately. Software rat. I'm working on my own website based on Node.js and the extension called OS. Oh, interesting. I don't know the extension called OS. So obviously familiar with Node.js, and you're working on your own website. Interesting. Yeah, so then are you using Node.js, then in combination with some front-end technology, I'm assuming OS, and maybe OS does server-side rendering stuff? I don't know, this is sounding awesome. I got to check it out for sure. Yeah, let me know, because that sounds interesting. Scuba Pug, what's your opinion on running serverless services, with Netlify or Vercel, leveraging cloud DBs compared to classic hosting? Yeah, this is a great question. It seems to come up a lot. And I will preface this all with, I haven't done really any serverless at all. So I totally get it. I understand the serverless options that are out there. Lambda, Cloud Functions, Azure Functions, and I understand what they do, and I understand the value that they provide. Function as a service, right? No infrastructure, nothing to maintain except for the function, obviously the data or whatever it's calling or services behind it you need to maintain. They're not on all the time, and you pay per use. You pay per drink, basically, when you execute these functions based on runtime and all this other stuff. So I get it from a high level. I just haven't done it. And this is mainly because, me being a software developer, we build those services. And I'm not saying we always have to, but we do just because, okay, if you need some microservice that might get some data out of some database, and then you have, a backend for front end or some other kind of API in front of that calls the microservice, just a lot of things to stitch together. So I will say that I think they sound awesome. I think they provide a ton of value for what you get. I don't know what the cost model looks like, and I don't have a ton of experience with them. I know that people are also interested in, and this is kind of racks my brain, but self-hosting a serverless infrastructure, which is kind of seems like an oxymoron to me. I totally get it. You want to host the capability to do serverless stuff, which is, having these endpoints, which you can call these functions, which then execute all this other stuff, and it has built-in integration. But when I'm like, self-hosting serverless, this is blowing my mind. So anyways, so I want to preface this all again with, I don't have a ton of experience with it. I definitely don't have experience paying for it, at least serverless stuff. But I think it's an awesome environment and an awesome technology to have out there in your tool belt. I don't think I would go and say yep, once you're doing serverless, do serverless for everything. Obviously, there might be things that require some kind of middle tier or something really heavy backend, and where maybe you can do it more efficient building it yourself. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. So anyways, that's kind of my opinion. I have no real opinion right now because I haven't done a ton of it. Will I do more in the future? Absolutely. Do I think there's a use case for it? Absolutely, or wouldn't exist. Do I prefer one or the other? I haven't done enough serverless to have an opinion on that. But I think it's awesome. I think the pay-as-you-drink model, I think like this with serverless is going to continue to evolve and grow in popularity. And then at the same time, you're not maintaining a ton of infrastructure, right? Because in classic hosting, you're going to need an API that's running, depending on what service we're calling. But just think of a very simple get from an API, right? You got to have an API that's running a web server, right? And then that web server has to have some kind of infrastructure, and maybe running your own code or whatever. And then from there, it could be in a container, right? But that's still infrastructure. And then from there, then you're going to have a database that's, has your data in there. And it's going to have to reach into that database, grab that database, return it back to the client. But if you could just have a data store and a cloud function or Lambda or whatever you want to call it to grab that data out, and it's not running all the time, and you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to make sure your Docker container or that VM or whatever is running is up to date, patching, all of that. If you can take that out of there, yeah, that sounds like a good use case for a lot of things that people do. Anyways, that's I guess the extent of my experience. And so, apologize if that was just kind of high level stuff. But it's things that as a software developer or as a product owner or as a tech team, you have to decide, what's best for you. Yeah. So anyways, hope that helps. Viable clan member, Kbis OS. Oh man, I don't want to say Q. I don't know. Let me know what you're talking about, Viable clan member. That KCA. The one thing that can be problematic with a VM desktop solution is that some latency issues glitch with audio. Good call. So we're going back to the discussion on, You guys know, I say this all the time. I have mint in my mouth. I don't know why. I know why I do it, but it's never fun when it's just like plastered here and you're like, oh yeah, I haven't taken a drink or even closed my mouth in 10 minutes. But the KCA, yeah, good point there. And I know exactly what you're talking about. So audio latency issues when you're virtualizing something. Yeah, there is. And it's funny you say that because I totally forgot about this. But there's some registry settings you can set within Windows. And if you need them later, ping me in Discord. I'll send them to you. It's something to do with MSI controlled. There's something basically you can do in the Windows registry to say, hey, don't listen to the timing from this virtual machine. Listen to the timing for the device. And that solves a ton of your audio issues. Because you're totally right, because I've been there and I'm still there. Like I have, a 24/7 encoding audio video thing going. And I ran into that, exactly. So you're right, but there are tweaks you can do. And if you need them, ping me in Discord later. I have them in my Google Keep. I can send them to you. But there are some tweaks you'll have to do for audio. So yeah, very good point there. But I figured that out, and that was a tough one. If I didn't figure that out, I wouldn't be able to run some of the services that I'm running. And that took a long time to figure out. And on top of that, some Windows updates and driver updates will reset that value. So whenever I'm like, hey, the audio is out of sync, I'm hearing crackling, I know that I need to go back in and reset those registry keys. So yeah, thank you for that. Brought back some old memories of like, oh my gosh, memories of me trying to fix something and not knowing if I could do it. So yeah, thanks for that. The KCA, oh, here we go. Missed this. Self-hosted Pro, you have to stream audio over your network. I believe the program is called Scream. Oh, no, I need to figure that out too. Yeah, back to pink and blue. The KCA, so when the host is under substantial load, you can hear pops and crackles in the audio pass through the controller. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up to these issues. Hey, the KCA. Hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Welcome. Man, sub, Prime. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. All of your comments are bringing back so many issues. I will say that, I think I slayed that beast like a year ago. And like I said, I have those registry values in my Google Keep. I know exactly what to do every time I hear those issues. And I think it's a timing thing where you basically tell Windows, hey, don't depend on timing from the virtual machine, something to do with that, high level, and I'm probably wrong. But there's a couple bits you flip in the registry where you said, nope, get the timing from the device, and then everything goes away for the most part. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if that's what you're talking about. And like I said, if you need those, ping me in Discord for sure. Self-hosted Pro, I never had any latency issues as you never need to leave your hardware. Yeah, that's true too. But okay, I see what you mean. Mine is still outputting kind of hard to explain, but mine's still outputting the audio and video to the virtual machine and then capturing that too. And that's where I could see a drift and crackling and popping. Viable clan member, the today command is usually returns a paragraph of, where you are at with your current project. Hey, yeah, mine would be like, TBD. But no, this is good. I like that. I like that. I should probably update my command and have a command with today. Hey, David PB, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Yeah, thank you, Viable Clan member. I will think about implementing that because, the bot that's in this channel is all code I own running in my own Kubernetes cluster, and I could push out that change really quick. I'd have to push out that change before the stream, but yeah, thank you for that idea. I haven't seen it used though. That's a new one to me. So I'll take note of that. And then definitely multiple people have tried uptime before. But if you just do the math, 3 CST minus current time, that's how long I've been up. And if you type in uptime, I'll probably just say it out loud because it rarely happens. Hemanth. Is this He-Man TH? I kind of like Hemanth with a TH at the end. Hey, what's up? Do you Vim? Hemanth. I Vim when I have to. How about that? I do when I have to. It's like sometimes I do. Like it's not like I'm totally lost and I don't know how to use it. I just grew up using Nano. Like for me, Nano was easy. It was like VI or Vim. It was on a lot of machines, and that's how I grew up using text editors in a terminal. Can I Vim? Sure. Do I like to? I know that I can be super duper efficient in Vim if I spend a ton of time in the terminal. But you know, a lot of the times my terminal commands are really short. I mean, I'm a software developer, so I use a ton of terminal commands to set up my environment and do lots of stuff. But whenever I need to edit text, at least locally in my terminal, you know, I use VS Code because I write software. But if I do it remote, I will use Vim if Nano's not there. Not saying it's better, it's just super easy and it's what I'm used to. And again, I don't spend a ton of time SSH'd in two machines where I have to edit lots of config. But yeah, totally. But I can. Do I? Sure. But yeah, good question. Hemanth. I'm gonna say Hemanth. I like it. Techno. What are you ending up for your server? Going with 16 megs of RAM and 1 gig of drive? Yeah, Techno, maybe. I don't know if I'm ready for 16 megs of RAM and a 1 gig drive. I don't know if the world's ready for that yet. That type of power that I can unleash, you know, with that. I don't even know what the processor would be. Like, Pentium, something, 3. I don't even know the numbers going back that far. I'm still deciding. I've ruled some stuff out. Let's say that I've ruled some stuff out. Maybe on Tuesday, maybe I'll on that stream, I'll kind of collect my thoughts and share something out. Sounds like something. Rise of Ninja. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. The KCA, it's mainly latency in the IRC handling for the hardware pass-through. Imagine sending it over the network might make it easier to deal with. You know, screen can send and receive audio. Yeah. Woos. Wow, another one. Today. Yeah, I need to get this today command. I never saw today commands until today. So maybe I do. I like it. Maybe that's what people do in science tech, and I need to get on this. Let's see here. Wow, lots of redemptions. The KC8 working on a Bazel demo with multiple languages, Docker builds, and CD integration for talk/blog post here. Interesting. Bazel demo with multiple languages, Docker builds, and CD integration for talk/blog post here. Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. What's the tech stack? Curious. Curious what the tech stack is for that. For Bazel, or for, you know, I guess the Docker builds. Yeah. No route. I'm working on a DAB Plus radio transmitter. Oh, interesting. I'm also trying to make a YouTube video about it because there aren't many videos on this topic yet. I know because I look for them working on this project. It's working now, and now I just need to edit and upload the video. No route. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I can speak from experience. You'll probably get some traction. You know, I won't go too much into it, but you know, I started all of this stuff that I'm doing now only, 10 months ago, roughly. And, you know, when I was trying to do some of the stuff I was doing, you know, I went to YouTube right away and searched for it. Didn't find a lot of information. I was like, okay, maybe I can start documenting this stuff and explaining it and putting it in a format that I thought that would help people. And so I encourage you to do it. If you're thinking about it, I say just try it. And I say go for it. You might like it. And you might realize you don't like it. But yeah, I say go for it. If you think it'll help people out there, and it's a super niche topic, and you know people are searching for it but can't find it, yeah, I say go for it. Go for it. Self-hosted Pro, what I did was have Scream send audio from my Windows VM to my Linux host. Not sure it's able to go both ways. Interesting. Keep coming back to finding some ways to get audio and camera across different systems I have here. Work laptop, 3 major platforms, so I can stop swapping USB ports. KVMs are a bit expensive. Yeah, so I mean, if you're using OBS, NDI, so NDI is a technology that does audio and video over the network. OBS, which I use to stream, which is how I'm broadcasting right now, has a pretty decent plugin for it. But it might be too complex to configure. But if you're doing it on the same machine, I don't know that would help. If you're doing it on another machine, it might help to just do NDI, turn your camera on, start NDI, send it to your current machine, which is running OBS, and then you have that plugin, and then you'll have to set that up as then a target for whatever you're using, Google Hangouts, Zoom, Skype, whatever, and then use that. But it might become kind of complicated, but those are the kind of things I like to solve. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, otherwise, swapping ports is never fun. What I ended up doing is, because I have HDMI, I bought this really cheap HDMI switcher. And so I have HDMI, I have inputs on two things, and then I have it going to the camera. And as you saw when I started the stream today, the screen was black. That's because it was toggled on my other device, which is my Mac I use all day and Zoom stuff. And then I just click a button. It's just like this. If I click a button right now, no video, click a button, it's back. And it's super easy. And I don't even think this device is supposed to work the way I use it, but it works pretty good. And then I guaranteed Monday morning, my Zoom call, they're going to be greeted with a black screen. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I was totally streaming this weekend. Woos. I'm working on a project that tracks specific cryptocurrencies and alerts me via browser mobile with push notifications just for the fun of it. That's awesome. And I bet you're going to learn a ton for it too. So when you say track cryptocurrencies, I assume you mean the current price for them. Sounds awesome. Exabyte. Hello, new here. What's the agenda on what happens in this channel? Yeah, it's kind of all everything. Yes, how about that? The agenda is usually talking about just tech in general, but at the same time, a lot of it is geared towards tech that you're working on this weekend. So I know that a lot of people have day jobs, they do them throughout the week, and they save their tech projects, maybe high tech, low tech, any kind of tech, for the weekend. And so this, I found, was a great outlet for a lot of people to talk about them, to discuss them, to validate some of their opinions, or to shoot down anything that they might be thinking of. And I don't mean like we criticize people's decisions, but we're open to feedback when we make bad assumptions, like I do. I make bad assumptions every day, and so for me, it's a fantastic place to get the collective knowledge from everybody in the channel right now, to say like, hey, that sounds like it might work, or man, you need to try something else. And I'm open to that. I mean, I think I have to be. And like I say, and I said earlier, I treat all feedback as a gift. And feedback just doesn't mean positive reviews. It also means fair criticisms too. And so I'm open to that. Anyways, that's it in a nutshell. Sometimes they're a little more, planful, if I'm able to plan in time. But at the same time, I know that people are just, like to talk about their projects that they're working on and are excited to. And sometimes they don't have people to share it with. And I'll be that person you can share it with. So anyways, hope that helps. Exabyte. Cop. In a private tab, your stream is at number 14. Just looked it up. Yeah. See, it's all based on, that's where I was going. Like it's all, it's their algorithm. But I like it. They probably knew for some people that go and talk about tech things in the tech channel, or certain types of tech, or tags, is another signal to Twitch to say, hey, this person usually looks at web development tagged things, or engineering tagged things, or, they're all inputs into their algorithm, and then it tries to match, which then on your side, it's discovery. So yeah, for sure. The KCA, GitT and GOGS are related. GitT is a fork from GOGS. Awesome. Yeah, I've heard Penguin Airlines talk about GitT a lot. Some other people have too. Super interesting. I should look at it. When I looked at it, it almost looked like a GitHub clone. So I was like, oh, okay, I like this. I like where this is going. Older GitHub clone. But yeah, I should look at it sometime, or consider self-hosting it. I get kind of scared. And again, it's not because I won't do the right things. It's not because I won't secure it, or I won't be responsible with the data that's on there. It's just because, I have a lot of code in a lot of places. And so a lot of my, code is public too. And so I want to just make sure that people can still discover it. Going back to discovery. Another reason why I use GitHub and GitLab public stuff is because, it's easily discovered. But if it's my own private, maybe a self-hosted route is a good way to go. Include null. Oh man, all these null, I like it. Techno, I'm curious if you did any video stuff before you started doing your tech videos around 9 months ago. Your videos look high production right out of the gate. No, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. To be honest, no. You know, I streamed it on Twitch a little bit, and I used to play games. So I kind of had, you know, I'll go to this. I had something, well, you're not going to see a ton. I had something that kind of looked like this when I played games. And that was pretty much the extent of my Twitch experience, was streaming games, talking to people. Oh, that clears out. Oh, I need to change that. Sorry. Note to self. Don't clear chat when you switch. So anyways, so have I done YouTube video stuff before? No. I would export my Twitch stuff to YouTube and it was like, yeah, maybe someone will watch it. Nah, it doesn't happen. So no, you know, I had to kind of look at other channels, see what I liked, disliked, and not even non-tech channels. And just kind of get an idea and a feel for what I was gonna do. My very early ones, not good at all, but I will tell you that I probably watched hundreds of hours of other channels before I kind of decided like what I was gonna do. And my first like 4 videos were like terrible. And I don't even like, I mute them as soon as I go there. If I'm looking for something or looking for B-roll or looking for where I talked about something, I mute them because I'm just like, I can't even look at it. So anyways, I appreciate it. Didn't know video stuff before. Like I'm a software dev. I tinker a ton. I've done a, you know, dev infrastructure. So I've been involved with tech for a long time. Played a ton of games in my life. But never really did any video stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, like my grandparents had a camcorder and I thought it was like the best thing ever. And actually, yeah, and then actually like when I was younger too, we made our own Bruce Lee movie. It's actually on YouTube. I'm not gonna show you where it is because it's so bad. Anyways, so yeah, I've never had like any kind of real experience or been in any kind of environment where I could even learn from anyone. I mean, everything I learned was from the internet, from YouTube itself. And so I kind of, yeah, I'm still learning. Like I'm nowhere, you know, and I had to teach myself not only to shoot video, figure out how to talk to a camera that, you know, doesn't say anything or do anything back, doesn't respond in any way, all at the same time, screen recording, transitions, making it kind of look okay. So anyways, I appreciate you noticing. No, totally self-taught, just like being a software developer, 100% self-taught. I geek out on this stuff, and when I geek out on it, I just try to figure out the best way to do things. And I still haven't figured it out. I would love to like talk to an editor someday and just like give me 30 minutes of your time and like let me talk to you about like, hey, here's the challenge I have, like, or here's what I'm trying to do, or here I want to make templates for these things. I recreate them every single time, and so. Anyways, yeah, it's all self-taught. I'm more than happy to share more of my experiences about that in Discord or anything, or if you need any kind of resources from me, yeah, absolutely. Let me know, because I'm you know, like my code. I think my process too is totally open source. I would love for you to open a pull request on my video editing process, because it's not the greatest right now, but it's, you know, I figured out what works. I went from, you know, taking a majority of the week to edit videos to now I'm down to about, it takes me about 4 or 5 hours to totally edit a video, which if you think about it with the day job, that's a lot of time at night. So, you know, my wife is making a lot of sacrifices of me just being in here, which isn't always fair. So anyways, long story short, yeah, I'm figuring it all out. I would love feedback. If you know a better way of doing stuff, or even notice I make mistakes in videos, absolutely let me know, because feedback is a gift. That's the theme for today. I've said it probably 4 times now, but I truly believe that it is. Rise of Ninja, what projects are you doing? Yeah, so me personally, oh, that's a good question. My projects are usually, yeah, so I have a couple going. So my project for last week was migrating my last MySQL database to Docker. My Mongo's there, my newer MySQL ones are there. My old MySQL just got migrated to Docker. These are like tiny projects, right? But the thing is when I do a project, I try to document it too, and then that like, it's like the definition of scope creep, because now it's like, you know, something that would have taken me, you know, 20, 30 minutes is now taking me 6 hours because I want to totally document it and create content around it. if you've been in some of my streams this week or following me on social media, you'll know that I'm working towards a next big project, which is some new servers. And so I'm trying to get just a collective opinion about some servers I'm building. My next wave of servers, that's 2. I want them to be 1U, and I know that's a big constraint, but I think I can do it. I think we can do it. So, anyways, yeah, that's what I'm working on. I have something else I'm kind of working on, not a big secret, but I usually it's for next week. That's different from stuff I've done before, and I'm really excited about it, but also scared at the same time because I know it's going to take a ton of time. But yeah, so I'm all over the place, and on top of that, work and kind of life. So, Dizzle, I've been following you on YouTube for a while. Keep up the content. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. Senpai Carter. I currently work as a fraud analyst, and I would highly recommend just freezing your credit card and doing 2FA on everything. Yeah, I think that's absolutely is good advice. 2FA on everything, credit freeze 2 for sure. I know it's a pain in the butt when you got to call 3 credit bureaus and tell them to unlock your stuff, but they verify you are who you are, and it keeps your credit locked so that no one can do anything to it. That's good advice, Senpai Carter. Thank you. Exabyte, use a password manager and generate super secure passwords for each site. Yeah, absolutely. And password managers. Yeah, you guys are on it. Techno actually did a password manager, and any include where it could have leaked. Gmail password was around 120 characters long. Yeah, that's tough. Like I said, I've had it happen once before, and it's just like, you just wonder, like, how did it happen? Who was it? Because I think companies are forced to, depending on their data breach policy, I think they have to say when they were, when it was. I honestly think a lot of companies don't, or they downplay it. So it could be anything, Yeah, especially old sites that are around, but probably not making a ton of money to pay the bills. It's kind of hard for them to upgrade a lot of their stuff or even have the intelligence or the visibility to know that these things are going on, which is scary in itself. That a lot of people, it could be happening in a lot of companies, and people just don't have the visibility. So super scary stuff for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. Auto-generated passwords. Yeah, that's auto-generated as long as it'll possibly allow you to do. Back that with 2FA, whatever that other factor is. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that's as good as you can do. But I agree that it should be as good as you can do for every site. When you sign up for a new site, absolutely unique, auto-generated, as long as it can be password. But then take the extra 60 seconds and go in there and tick on 2FA, and get out your Authy or get out your phone and whatever, and just do it. I totally agree. Whoa, that's a big point. Exabyte, what password manager do you use? Depends. I've used OnePass, I've used LastPass. They're all out there. I know there's some self-hosted option ones too. So I've dabbled in them all. Yeah. People don't have a ton of options in this space. And then you have Chrome that can do it. Then you have even Safari or iOS that can do it. Everyone wants to manage your passwords. Chrome's wanted to for a long time, but it's a hot topic right now, and a lot of people can do it. Takano, all through LastPass, I have no idea where the card info was granted from. Yeah. Takano, since it was a transaction through PayPal, but my PayPal doesn't show activity, so I feel like it was just a Google account breach along with card info. Yeah. At this point, I'm thinking of malware of some sort, so another excuse is to just go with Linux. Yeah. Exabyte, use Windows. Yep, Windows, then mainly I use a Mac. I was going to move over to Ubuntu already as well. Yeah, I think that's it's a solid choice. I think solid choice. Senpai Carter almost gave up on Windows with the latest update. Yeah, they keep rolling out updates. As for me, I use all three, the three you can think of. All have, it's all different use cases. But yeah. Takano, I'm just gonna go full Linux at this point. All right, no more Hackintosh, right? Yeah, I think that's a good choice too. To get on a solid platform that you can update. I know you were having some problems with your with your Hackintosh not being on the latest version or something like that. But yeah, hopefully nothing like that either too. You never know. Exabyte, I use Linux too, but I think Windows can be fairly secure as long as you be a little skeptical on the internet when downloading stuff and keeping the system up to date. Yeah, I totally agree. Like I'm not a hater of Windows. I use Windows a lot. I mean, I'm using it right now. It's, you know, compatible with so many things. I develop software on it, not for it, you know, using WSL, which is Linux under the covers. Use a Mac too. Yeah, I use them all, you know, and I don't want to be a downer on Windows because I mean, man, I can do a ton of stuff on Windows. And ever since Satya, you know, has become CEO on Windows, it's a new company, and I'm super. I don't know. I'm excited for Microsoft. I think they're doing a lot of better things than they've done in the past. I think in the last, you know, 4 or 5 years, I think they're a totally different company than where they were before. You know, to be honest, you know, I kind of enjoy Windows 10. You know, it's me personally. Helps me do a lot of stuff. Anytime I can not switch platforms to do the one thing, I'm happy. And if that's Linux and I can stay on Linux all day and do all my stuff, absolutely. If it's Mac and I can do all my stuff, absolutely. Same with Windows. But I can't do that for any system right now. But yeah, if we get to that one day, I'd kind of be happy. I never think it'll be that way though, for me as a developer, just because, yeah, iOS apps just throws a wrench in the whole thing because Xcode's only on Mac. But yeah, anyways, I'm rambling. Takano, yeah, I followed everything like that. I've done pretty often as well. All right, I'm gonna stand up because I'm like sitting up as straight as a board, but at the same time, then like my knees are bent. So work with me here. You might hear some weird noises as you do this. Okay. Okay. Senpai Carter, might as well. It comes so far in the last 5 years. I started using it, and games more supported too. If that's a Windows crutch, yeah. I think compatibility. So if you think just compatibility, I mean, Windows has always been a compatibility platform. They've done it. That's their thing. You know, compatible with 16-bit, 32-bit. I mean, not 16 anymore, but that was their claim. You know, and then 64-bit. And then drivers, and then hardware, and then, you know, games. And so if you think about it from a compatibility lens, they've been doing it for a real long time. And I do agree that games, you know, fall into that category. I mean, not forever though. Chicano, the only thing I found odd was that the login was from a Mac, but it showed the same Mac was logged into previously. Oh man, what was I just saying about the Hackintosh? I'm teasing you, maybe not. Can we switch? Just kidding, but I do need a Mac soon. I'm into Flutter and I need a Mac for iOS development. Exactly what I was just saying. Because I do React Native, and I've done some native iOS stuff. Exactly what I was just saying. That, like, you can never veer too far from a Mac if you're a software developer, because someday you might need to create a Mac app, and then, or not a Mac app, iOS app, and then you need to do it on an iOS machine. There are ways around it with things kind of like Flutter and React Native. Yes, you can develop for Android and do it on Windows, but at the end of the day, you need to check it on two things. And obviously, then you could compile it on a Mac build server, which is a thing, and we have one. But then at the end of the day, you kind of need to test it on a Mac, so it kind of stinks. Anyways, Mac. If you develop software, you kind of. I don't want to say get stuck with it because it's an excellent experience, and I develop on a Mac all day long, and I totally enjoy it. But if you ever want to hop platforms, you need a Mac system somewhere if you ever want to do iOS apps. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Exabyte. Ruby Core, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Rise of Ninja, who are you replying to? Whoever I'm reading off right now. So I got a backlog. I got a backlog of comments, so I'm just going through there. I'll get to them. Takano, from my IP like a month ago, then now it was out of my country, which the place where the breach came from. Whoa. Yeah. Thank you, Takano. But no clue where the breach is from. Luckily, my account had limits set it for how much you could spend in daily and auto declined. Yeah, that's interesting. Man, it sounds like you didn't have 2FA on this account though too. I mean, maybe you did, but how would, if it was a new device for a new IP, that would trigger, hey, I need to use my second factor authentication, and then that should stop it in its tracks, I think. I don't know. Yeah, that's scary stuff. By the way, use Linux to kind of sorry about your card stuff. I think it's the virus. Do you not use firewalls or Komodo on Windows? Komodo, I should say. I do not. I don't have antivirus. We'll do scans and nothing's been found. See here, and no recent installs. Yeah, these are scary. Viruses don't do much in 2020. Virus devs are smart hiding them. Yeah, because it's all, hey, thanks for the follow, Jang Banger. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. Thanks for spending those points too. Thanks for earning the points and thanks for spending them. Yeah, I do feel like, yeah. I mean, the whole landscape has changed for people to get your information, It's always changed from whatever people are using. They're going where people are, so sometimes it's not always a typical virus, sometimes it's phishing, sometimes it's exploiting some kind of app that you use, whatever people use, that's what they're targeting. But it's hard to tell. It is super hard to tell. EDAG C10, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So not really sure, going to do a fresh install of Linux and call it a day. Windows doesn't give me anything for me, it's just mainly constant nagging for updates. Yeah. Enabled 2FA on all accounts now as well. That's a step in the right direction. Change all the password and LastPass, got the cards replaced. Yeah, I think that's solid advice. Exabyte, I recommend Elementary OS. I used Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Manjaro, Pop OS, and all of them, Elementary OS is the one where things would work the way I want. No BS, very little bloat, unlike Ubuntu. Yeah, good call. I haven't used Elementary OS yet. Obviously I've used Ubuntu, but yeah. Let's see here. No route. What's the display on the background with scrolling text and animations? Oh, it's a little Raspberry Pi that I built. So I took a Raspberry Pi. I tried to turn it into art. So I framed it, and then I bought this LED panel from Adafruit, and then I used a hat to connect it to the LED panel, and then I found this library that I could send messages to it. Then I built a Node web server on there, and then this never ends. It's coming. And then once I had a Node web server on it, I created an endpoint that then some of my other services can send notifications to. So really, at the end of the day, it's a web server that's running on a Raspberry Pi that's connected to an LED panel that's inside of a picture frame. That then from my other services, I can actually send my notifications that I get to it. And so I don't know. I was gonna put weather on it, and then once I started doing YouTube and Twitch and Twitter stuff, I was like, hey, this is, I'll just send those notifications there. So kind of cool. I thought it was very lonely and inactive for a long time. But I've wired up all kinds of notifications now too, because it was pretty lonely, for a couple of months. I'm like, is this thing still on? I was like, is this thing still on? But now I've wired up. I found a good balance, and I had to rewrite a lot of code and write a queuing system and all this stuff. I totally over-engineered this thing. But at the same time, it took a fair bit of engineering to get just a node process to be able to generate the required text in the right font to send to an Adafruit LED panel. Anyways, I should share it sometime, but it's it's an animated picture frame. And so you'll notice that it'll show the same notifications you see on screen, a little delayed back there. But anyways, yeah. Techno, yeah, that's the one I was looking at, pretty similar to Mac OS as well for the theme. Yeah, I'm curious about that. Rise of Ninja, I think you were talking about my screen. But yeah. And if you want to see a closer picture of it, I think I have it on my Instagram. Not saying you need to go out there and look at it, but you never get to see it up close. But I have, it's probably on Twitter too, but I have an Instagram post where it's right up close to the notification as it's going off. But I don't know, something I built I thought was cool. And so, I don't know, it's been here forever. It's been here for a long time. I did it a really long time ago too, but it's just always been in my room. So Techno Plus supports my 10 gig NIC versus Windows, which is decided to blue screen. Yeah. Ari the Bazel. So Bazel is a parallel computing tool that supports Bazel. Multiple languages. The main part of the demo is dealing with the compiling a TS, I assume TypeScript front end, CDN to a TypeScript API server with a bunch of Go services that all get built into Docker images and then trigger deployment jobs. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds right up my alley. I love that stuff. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Takano, talking about your network card. Yeah, the 10 gig one. I think it was solar flare, maybe something to do with space weather. And I was like, oh, I'm tuned into that. Yeah, he did have some blue screen problems, I think, with the driver. I think he was forcing the driver because it didn't support like Windows 10 or Windows Server 2016, whatever that build is from Microsoft. That's Windows 10. Senpai Carter, I hate to be the guy, but I like Arch. Sorry for being the stereotype. Please forgive me. No, not at all. You can't, you don't need to apologize for the Linux distro that you like, for sure. Anyone prefer Solus? So that's F Jantos or FJ F Jantos. Solus, I haven't used it. Linux distros are subjective. I chose Debian base due to more official support for softwares. Yeah, Exabyte, I can agree. The only one thing when I have used Debian in the past, like then you get stuck on, I don't know, sometimes you get stuck on older versions. So I felt like, at least for me, I feel like a happy medium is the Ubuntu LTS for my servers. Because then I'm like, okay, it got a lot of stable stuff from Debian. Sorry, I said Debian. I got a lot of stable stuff from Debian. And then if I'm on the LTS, I know that people that are building software are going to target that LTS. And so it's worked out good for me, but you know, I'm very limited use. I mean, it just basically runs some of my Linux server. I guess I use it quite a bit, but it's been pretty stable for me. But I don't know as far as like desktop Linux. I usually go Ubuntu just because it's easy, but I don't do a ton of stuff on desktop Linux. I should do more. Bazel builds a Merkle tree of your dependencies for each output and then works out how it can parallelize each of the build steps and store the cache in the output. The tree also means the system can track which parts of your code base change and only run the parts. I like it. So that if you build one class, you don't have to recompile the whole entire, I mean, depending on how you architect your code too. But yeah, that sounds really awesome. But yeah, you know, so many times, I mean, if you even think about, you know, changing your README, obviously you'd probably say skip CI, but for most people, they just push up an update of a README change and it recompiles all the software. It sounds super interesting. F Jantos, correct me if I'm wrong. I use Debian for servers, but Solus is what I need on a Linux desktop. I need to check it out for sure. Senpai Carter, my server's running Fedora for the meantime, but it decided to bork Docker. So Ubuntu server inside of Proxmox shortly. Yeah, that's my game right there. That's my game. The KCA, if you have a large project in a language without a fast compile time or want to build out multiple services for a single repo, yeah, monorepo meme goes here. No, only build changes. Totally get it. Yeah. So I've done some similar stuff before with Node.js and Lerna. So it was like this whole, you know, people were like, monorepos are bad. And then all of a sudden people are like, no, monorepos are good if you manage them in a proper way with something like Lerna or what you're talking about. It's because then you don't have duplication of effort, duplication of documentation, duplication of pull requests or saying, hey, no, go use this or whatever. But yeah, super interesting stuff for sure. Artifacts, Umbra, hey, how's it going? Exabyte, for stability, Ubuntu is best. For personal workstation, what fits? That's my rule of thumb. Since I need both, I choose elementary, which is Ubuntu based. Yeah. Artifacts Umbra, I like this format. Thank you. Your name is this very nice yellow. It's I like that format. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Actually, Peanuts, just installed ESXi on an HP thin client. All right, securing my home net with a virtual firewall and DMZ for iNet facing servers. Sounds like a fun time. And I mean that. I've done my fair share of that here for the things I self-host. Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I told you about my Rancher deployment probs the other day. Turns out Bitdefender was the issue. Switching AV solution did the trick. Oh, that's awesome. What, was it that you couldn't get updates Yeah, I think it was. You were trying to update something and might have been updating aptitude. I can't remember off the top of my head. Artifacts, Umbra. Any tips for hosting internet-facing servers at home? Yeah. So that's a big question. My tips are, one, me personally, I containerize my stuff. I put it in Kubernetes. I put a reverse proxy in front of it. Then I use SSL. And on top of that, I segment all of that traffic to a totally different network. Some people use VLANs. I use physical networks, virtual physical networks. Anyways, same idea, totally different segment that doesn't have access to anything, absolutely anything, but the internet. And that's a task in itself to get all of that working. And I think that's a huge chunk of work to get that working. But that's kind of been something I've done for a while. Then I obviously have network security scanners, deep packet inspection, like a lot of firewall rules that enforce not only what the firewall says it should be doing, but also what that traffic is intending to do and monitoring some of that. It can be scary, and that's where you'll have to use some tools to help you with visibility. What we were talking about earlier, how we have very low visibility into some of the things that are happening at companies with data breaches. I mean, you kind of now are taking on that same kind of responsibility when you start self-hosting stuff at home. So that's a lot to take on, but I would highly suggest doing the minimum, which is most of the stuff I listed. The minimum, your MVP is do the whole thing. That's basically what I'm saying. But you can't skimp out on any of that. And you can't skip, you can't just be like, well, okay, I'm going to self-host this stuff and then do it over HTTP, right? Without a certificate or without securing stuff. And then it even goes deeper. That's just getting your web hosting infrastructure up and running. Then they're securing individual services, and passwords and all the things we were just talking about earlier. Securing your admin accounts, not using default admin accounts, unique passwords, two-factor auth. So all of the things we were just talking about and criticizing big companies about for doing or not doing are the same things you'll have to consider in your home infrastructure. So full circle. This is full circle now. So yeah, it's a great question. So food for thought. The same thing we were talking about with Techno could happen to you in your own infrastructure if you don't take some of those precautions. Don't mean to scare you, because a lot of the times, it's don't mean to scare you, but just things you'll have to think about, right? So good question. iLoot, set up a VPN in your homeland unless you absolutely need something public. Yeah, absolutely. So another great point. If you don't need something, public, anonymous, VPN is a great solution. I highly recommend, though, still connecting to those services over SSL, because unless all of those services are on a trusted network, even if you're doing it over HTTP and it's not a trusted network, that those packets can still be sniffed, right? And so even VPN is a great way to get back to your infrastructure securely. But then still within your infrastructure, I would absolutely recommend still using SSL and all those things, even if it's a self-signed one that you generate, right? Just so that traffic isn't, unencrypted over the short wire on your network. Because some of those services, unless it's a trusted network, trusted system, those packets can be sniffed by something that's on the network or someone that's on the network, whether it's IoT or whether it's someone else, and so I don't mean to scare you. These are just things like I think about too. So, have you seen Tailscale? It's a nice VPN solution. I haven't. Man, I can't keep up. OpenVPN, WireGuard, Tailscale. Now I got to look into Tailscale. No, I know about OpenVPN. I know about WireGuard too. Tailscale is one I have to look into. The auth and discovery is hosted, but the rest is just WireGuard. There we go. So interesting. I'll have to look into it because that's something on WireGuard that's leaves a little bit to be desired. At least in my look at it, it's kind of, it's basically a CLI tool to, it's all CLI. Not that I need a UI for stuff, but yeah. I think it'll continue to evolve. Exabyte also use self-hosted VPN for something like DigitalOcean. OpenVPN do something similar. I don't trust VPN companies. Yeah, that's a good point too. And it depends on what your use is for your VPN. If it's just making sure people are not tracking you, yeah, absolutely. You could spin that up very easily. I tend to just VPN back into home and go out then through my tunnel here out if I don't trust the network that I'm on, for sure. Alamend, stuck in the dryer. Hey, that's no fun. iLood, if public, make sure it's secure, read best practices, use Cloudflare for web services, fail to ban I was going to say etcd, etc. I have not seen that before. We'll go check it out. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, good call, iLood. Fail to ban, it's another good one. Increase your visibility of those services, right? So failed ban can monitor logs for those services. Some of those services might write logs to either firewall ports or firewall rules that are being activated by blocking something, or by 401s, 403s, someone trying to log into a system and they're failing. It's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. I mean, that also holds true to your logging mechanism, right? If you're logging out all this stuff, but you never look at it, you might as well not log out all the stuff. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to scare people or talk down, because it's hard for me to look at all the logs of my stuff, But that's a nice, I don't want to say proactive, reactive thing you can do is fail to ban. You install fail to ban on your server, you tell it to look at your auth logs, you tell it to look at your firewall logs, and if it recognizes a pattern of people doing certain things, it'll create a firewall rule and block that person, either for a minute, an hour, forever. And you can lock yourself out. I've done it. So when you're testing it at first, make it really short, because you can lock yourself out of SSH or whatever you're monitoring, right? And so yeah, iLood, thank you so much. It's a great recommendation. Failban is a fantastic product. It's been out there for a long time. It's open source. You can install and configure it in just a couple of minutes. And that will help you increase, the visibility you have into your own services. And so we're talking about self-hosting at home, right? Like at scale, or your company or whatever, these should be seen in aggregate, right? And something should be aggregating this and putting this somewhere. But I think we're still under the lens of self-hosting. So yeah, absolutely. These are awesome topics. Thank you so much. Sorry, let me grab a drink. Doing a ton of talking. Billy Quizboy. Documentation is not scope creep. It's something that should be budgeted in time for. Totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. And this is probably going back to my comment about my documentation. My documentation is creating a YouTube video. So, when I do projects, I have to decide, like, is this something I'm going to document in a video? And so absolutely, I totally agree. Documentation. So I was kind of using documentation a little bit snarkily. Is that a adjective? Adverb? So I was being a little snarky when I said that, but only with myself, because, I do write documentation. Absolutely. I totally agree. It should be there. I think tests, documentation, integration tests, like all these things that I have to do as a developer, I think apply to a lot of other things too. And so what I was saying by that was, like, my documentation is creating content. It's because I try to document the things I do. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree, Billy Quizboy. iLood, you have more questions? Come to Discord. Yeah, thank you. Happy to help. Oh man, iLood. Yeah, Discord, the command. All right, another one. Command. Thank you for that. Inside of a message. That's something I don't check for in my code, but I should. You do a command inside of a message. Because right now I have simple code. Starts with, exclamation point Discord. But yeah. It is creepily shiny. It's P2P, but only amazingly polished, and the people behind it are quite nice nerds. Yeah, awesome. iLood, you figured it out. Thank you. Tall Bill, no question today, but 2 builds in progress are heavily guided by your video. So good stuff. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully you're finding good stuff in there. And I I will say this, I have a lot of disclaimers. They're not disclaimers because I think I'm doing something wrong, but I always want to say that, I never want to dictate architecture. That's another thing. Like thou shalt do this, or, I don't want to have any, I just don't want to dictate architecture. So while I might say like, hey, this worked for me, treat it as that. Like, hey, this worked for me, might not work for you. You might find a better solution, or you might totally, I might confirm some of your assumptions about the thing you thought that I was doing was wrong. And so, again, not trying to dictate stuff, just sharing my experience. And so treat it like any other experience. But I'm glad you're liking it. Hopefully it's helping. Because it's honestly what I want to do. Actually, Peanuts, I use Authy whenever possible. And YubiKey, nice. Let's see here. The one thing to suggest: do whatever you do not to be responsible for auth. Yeah, use OAuth, give auth problem to someone else. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean I'm So I don't do a lot of my own local auth stuff. So when I have systems that I run here, and it's like, hey, use an auth provider or do local auth, I'm like usually an auth provider, because then it's like, yeah, I agree. It's kind of someone else's problem. I just worry one day that if like I did Google Auth with everything, what happens when someone flips the bid on what I've shared with them? What OAuth scopes I've provisioned for them. I'm not a huge auth expert, but that's where I'm kind of like, okay, so if I can do this really quick and LastPass and generate, in their system, their own local auth and not relying on OAuth there, if I do that, at least I kind of know they don't have access to anything in my third-party account, So I'm always like, what happens when that bit flips one day, And now when I've granted just my email to all of these companies, now they get email plus credit card, right? The credit card bit flips on, and this is probably won't happen. Those are the things I worry about though, especially when it's Google, right? Because, if you use Google, you might have Google Pay tied to it or something else. And the same can go for Apple or anything else, You have sign in with Apple. Most of the time you're going to grant just email, right? But there are other scopes that Apple supports or Google support or any OAuth provider. They all have scopes. So I'm always scared. What happens if one day, Anyways, things I worry about. I don't spend too much time thinking about them though. Let's see here. You should do a video of running Bitwarden in Kubernetes. It's amazing self-hosted password manager. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of people, Bitwarden. A lot of people are big fans of Bitwarden. I should sometime. Linux is a great desktop. Reese Tech. Yeah, Reese. Yeah. No, they're trying EEE on Windows, Linux. No route. 2021 is year of the Linux desktop. I certainly hope so, for sure. More compatibility, It's Python, dual boot for the win. Yeah, I used to triple boot. That was a little crazy. But yeah, I should do more dual booting now. I'm running out of hard drive space, or running out of, I guess, hard drive space, not volume on disk, just place to put disks in my current case. Because I have an all-in-one cooler that took up a large place where hard drives would go. But yeah, the original iLuke Ace. Any plans to do an IoT stack tutorial? For example, MQTT, Node-RED, Influx, DB, Grafana using Docker and Rancher. Possibly. I think that's a fantastic topic. I think a lot of those things would apply to not just IoT. Like the Influx, Grafana, right? Like you could gather metrics for other systems and services, not necessarily with the scope of IoT, but yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I don't know. I have to learn a little bit more about it and understand a little bit better. But yeah, nothing's off the table for sure, especially when it comes to tech, IoT, self-hosting, code. Like that's got it all right there. So I'm probably asking myself, why haven't I done it yet? But like I was saying earlier, I have projects I have to do in real life. And if I can, try to use that as a moment to teach something at the same time, I go for it. And which is tough. It leaves a lot less time for experimenting and trying out new things. Because I'm doing the thing I kind of know how to do, and then I document it. So yeah, I totally agree. that at some point I need to do a little bit more experimentation, get outside of my comfort zone. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Depends on what IoT stuff you want to do. This is the KCA. MQTT is popular, and stuff can be problematic depending on the type of IoT device you want to build. Eufy is a gRPC for their device communication system, and I used to work at a different company that had a similar solution for connectivity, different IoT company. MQTT with a serialization layer that handles backwards and forwards compatibility is strongly recommended. Nice. Dizzle. I saw an IoT stack on GitHub from GC Garner. I don't know. Haven't seen it. No route. Sounds like you need to do a video on that. Talking about the display in the background. Oh yeah, I know you have a backlog. Yeah, thanks. I have a backlog of chat now too. I'm catching up. Yeah, maybe someday. I should have done it at the time because that's when I understand it most. I should probably let that just let that code go and have it be open source. It's nothing groundbreaking and nothing secret. But maybe someday I should and just build a little kit. And here's how I built a picture frame for social notifications and post it out there. Yeah, I should. Embrace WSL, extend, DirectX, distinguish, has T. Yeah, hasn't happened yet. I recommend Manjaro and is more stable than Arch Linux. Arch is rolling release. That's good for desktop because you always have the latest versions of stuff. Reese, yeah, I hear that a lot about Manjaro. I do a ton of WSL too, for sure. Like anytime I'm writing code on Windows, I'm in WSL. I haven't opened up a real CMD in a long time, and it was probably just to ping, or it was probably to turn on and install WSL was the last time I opened up even PowerShell. And I know PowerShell is a super powerful tool to, especially in the enterprise, to automate and maintain and configuration across Windows devices. But yeah, I rarely open it up, but I'm in WSL all day when I'm on Windows. But yeah, I hear that a lot about Manjaro. Or Arch, Arch, rolling release. Yeah, I just haven't done a ton of it. People are huge fans though. Actually, Peanuts, I'm Popall OS all the way for desktop. Server depends. I work with enterprises, so CentOS sometimes. But I've worked with Debian for the past 15 years. Ton of experience. Sounds like a lot of good experience. Actually, Peanuts, Rancher deployment was having login problems from the start with cookie settings. Hard to explain, even open a bug. Did post updates in your Discord, forgotten half of it. Troubleshooting dozens of other things since. I remember you posting it there, and I remember you posting it on GitHub, and I actually looked at the issue. I don't know if it was ever resolved. Also, I'll never do rolling releases again. If things work, they work. No need to be bleeding edge for me. I don't fix things that should break up working time. Yeah, and the rolling release one is kind of tough for me because it's the same thing about people complain about Windows Update, right? I mean, we were just saying this earlier. Oh yeah, Windows updates all the time, and I personally don't mind updates. And I've always felt this way. I actually love updates. I love when OSs, so I love when software gets updated, operating systems. I love it when software packages I use get updated. I love it when there's node module updates. I super love it when there's firmware updates. And I don't know, it's always something about me where I'm just like, oh, sweet, firmware update. That, for me, for some reason, I love it. And I think for me, it goes back to, I feel like someone still cares about the thing I'm using. And so for me, I wonder, I have products that haven't been updated in years. Does that mean it's dead? Does that mean I'm going to be on an island someday where it's not going to work anymore? And so for me personally, I love updates. It means someone out there is working on the software. They still care about this product, and you have people that are still investing in it. And sometimes that's if it's something you pay for, built into the cost. So most hardware you get is probably going to have some software updates over a period of time. If you stop getting them, that means no one cares about it anymore. I don't know. That's always been my view of updates. So while I will complain, when Catalina gets this 45-minute update, or an iPhone gets an update, or my Android phone gets an update, I'll complain about the time it takes because I can't do what I was just doing. But if I look at it holistically, I enjoy them because it means someone cares. Anyways, I'm rambling about my opinion of updates. But I love to just like, oh, Catalina, well, you seriously can't figure out monitor orientation. after all these years and Windows figured it out, and like XP and Macs still can't figure out window orientation unless you buy their $10,000 Mac. I don't know. Anyways, I won't go off on that. I do too much. But I do think we'll land on Mars before a Mac figures out how to remember your multiple monitor layout on a reboot. I honestly do think we will send a human to Mars before Apple figures that out. Aussie boy, hello, how's it going? Good, how are you? Actually, Peanuts, yeah, I know Senpai CA, but when you're updating every other day, getting used to updates is working. Time is really annoying when you just want to work. It's kind of goes into what I was saying, yeah. And I see this a lot too from, I experience it a lot, and I've seen it like with other software developers. They just want stuff to work, because at the end of the day, like these are the machines we use to create stuff. And it's not just software developers, it's anyone who uses a computer for the job, which is most people. And so, yeah, when updates get in the way, absolutely. Sometimes you're just like, dude, just need to do my job, or hey, I got to do this thing real quick. Yeah, I totally agree. Because there are times when, those updates break things. Now you're like, great, right before this update, I could do my job. Now I can't do my job. Or whatever it is you're trying to do. So yeah, I can totally relate. Sorry for the late reply. Windows just constantly blue screens, the card drivers. Also, NAS drives are delayed. Oh, that's not good. Just got notified. Oh man, dude, no TrueNAS today. Hopefully they deliver on Sunday. Because I don't know. Hopefully they do, so you can do it. Dr. Bell finally got database up. Had to roll back to 5731. Okay. Actually, Peanuts, I get the attraction of rolling release. I was so happy when I finally got Arch because I love the concept, still love the concept, it just never worked out for me. Was also dual booting and a triple booting guy, no more as well. Windows Update being one reason. That mess, Cloud Ready does your partitions and the other. Now, I totally agree, and I've said this on stream too. I used to do triple boot, and each time I would like update one of the OSs or install the OS, I would physically unplug the other ones because I never knew if something was going to destroy my Windows partition on that drive. And I had three separate, I had a drive for each OS. And still, there would be some times where, I don't know, sometimes Grub was, I'm going to update Grub. Do you want to take the old or new default config? Yes, no. And I'm just like, I don't know. Let's just don't destroy anything. Like, do what you did before and don't break anything. And so I got to a point for a long time where I would, ran a Mac, Windows, Linux. And so when I installed each of those, I'd physically unplug each of the drive because I was like, please don't mess. And then UEFI was on top of that. Or just like, okay, now I have UEFI. That's going to load Grub. And then Grub's going to load Windows or Hackintosh. And I'm like, this is such a crazy game of boot, boot dependencies. Catching up all the chat laughs. Yeah. WinOS. Oh yeah. Actually, Peanuts, I don't like updates breaking systems updates themselves. Like, totally agree with the point. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I think Linux is completely broken. You guys are making me spit all over my monitor. Windows is broken too, just in a more consistent way. Consistently broke. Hey, at least you can be consistent at something. No, I know. I sense things are coming to an end, and I do too. iLood, yeah, great. That's a great segue into things coming to an end. Not only for possibly operating systems, but for the stream as well. So thank you for that. Wait, real quick. Do I need hardware? Do I need specific hardware to run a Hackintosh? It's PyBomb. Kind of, sort of. You kind of, sort of do. There's information out there. It depends. You do. Because look into it. And speaking of that, I don't even know if that'll be a thing as soon as Apple goes to system on a chip. So enjoy it while you can. But you do, and there's stuff out there. Tony Mac x86 has a whole entire forum based on it, and they always have their current recommended build, and it's and it talks about the different types of hardware and what you should and shouldn't use, and some of the caveats of using some of that stuff. And I know a lot of people here have done that too. So, but yeah. So speaking of things coming to an end, not only software, it's actually the stream too. So I, first of all, greatly appreciate everyone that's in here. Fantastic stream. So many topics that we got to talk about. So many projects that you guys are working on that I'm super excited about. I learned a ton from this stream, like I always do. So I appreciate that. I really do. But it seems like there's a lot of newer people in here. There seems like a lot of great conversation that's going on, and I don't want it to end here. Obviously, you're welcome to stay and chat in this channel. It'll be here after I stop the stream. But if you want it to persist and you want to meet some new folks, check out the Discord channel that Techno just linked there. It's full of great people, smart people who keep me in check on my ideas. Who it's great to have an extra eye if you're having a problem. It's great to have a new perspective if you've been stuck on a problem. Or it's great to just kind of look at memes or pictures of pets. It's a fantastic community, and I highly encourage you to join if you'd like to. I will be back on Tuesday. My normal time is 3 ST on Saturday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, 7 Central. So I will be back Tuesday, 7 Central. Hopefully you guys have all the parts you need to do all of your projects. And if you don't, like Takano, man, oh man, it got reassigned to Tuesday. Well, man, hopefully you have all the parts to do your projects, or hopefully you have all the knowledge and time to figure it out. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. And yeah, as always, be good to each other. Take care.